Good evening, my name is Katarzyna Nowicka and welcome to Poland Daily News. Today, the first death in Poland due to coronavirus was reported. A 57-year-old woman died in Poznań due to the disease. There are a total of 51 confirmed cases of coronavirus throughout Poland. In response to the threat, the government is introducing an epidemic emergency in the country.
A 57-year-old woman died of coronavirus. The next of kin had been notified before authorities went public about her death. We have sad news. Poland's patient zero in Poznań unfortunately died just a moment ago. This shows the seriousness of the situation. This shows that the threat of coronavirus is not hypothetical. It is a serious infection for some people, for people who are weaker than us, and we should take care not to expose them to such serious consequences that we have just mentioned. Michał Dworczyk, the head of the Chancellery of the Prime Minister, appealed to employers. In accordance with applicable regulations, some of these provisions have been enforced for a long time, some have been introduced thanks to the special coronavirus bill. We recommend to maximally implement telecommuting.
We recommend that all meetings take place today using modern technologies. There is no need for us to meet in large groups in the rooms. As of now, the best way to counteract the spread of the virus is to limit contact.
The fear of an outbreak of the coronavirus caused Poland to visit stores in large numbers. The Minister of Development, Jadwiga Emilewicz, assures that there are no plans of closure of any trade outlets.
We certainly guarantee you that there are no grounds and reasons to be afraid that stores will be closed or will not be stocked.
There is no reason to overbuy products in a store. In queues, as well as in crowds in the store, we have the chance to unnecessarily infect ourselves and others. Let's be responsible, let's stay isolated. This is the only way society can protect itself. The President announced that talks have been initiated with the representatives of financial institutions concerned about the situation in the banking sector. These talks have a goal to find ways on how the banking sector can additionally secure the interests of its clients and create additional collateral and additional forms of good cooperation for them. I have asked the representatives of the financial sector to create conditions for suspending the repayment of loans for a period of at least several months in a way that would be easy for the consumers. To date, 51 cases of coronavirus infection have been registered in Poland.
According to information from Chinese authorities, the coronavirus epidemic in China is slowly retreating. The rest of the world, however, is still struggling with SARS-CoV-2, which the World Health Organization recently qualified as a global pandemic. As a precautionary measure, the Italian authorities announced the closing of all shops and bars. Extraordinary measures have also been taken by the United States administration. Starting tomorrow, all flights from the Schengen zone to the United States are to be suspended for 30 days.
The situation in China is slowly getting better. During a recent press conference, the State Commission in Beijing reported that the situation in the country is stable. Less and less Chinese citizens are being infected with the coronavirus, and the amount of those recovering is slowly increasing. In all cities in Hebei province, with the exception of Wuhan, there were no new cases reported in the last week. In mainland China outside Hubei, 7 new cases were confirmed, 6 of which were detected in people coming from abroad. These figures indicated the peak of the epidemic in China has passed. The number of new cases is failing. The epidemic remains relatively low. Unfortunately, while in China it is said that the peak period of the epidemic has passed, in Europe the situation is changing for the worse. 118 countries are currently fighting the coronavirus. Director of the World Health Committee, Tedros Ghebreyesus, described the coronavirus-induced disease as being a pandemic.
And we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Special security measures were also taken by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who announced the closing of the US borders for 30 days for citizens of 26 countries within the Schengen group, including Poland. These restrictions do not apply to Great Britain or Americans returning from these countries.
We have been in frequent contact with our allies, and we are marshalling the full power of the federal government and the private sector to protect the American people. Taking early, intense action, we have seen dramatically fewer cases of the virus in the United States than are now present in Europe. The European Union failed to take the same precautions and restrict travel from China and other hotspots. As a result, a large number of new clusters in the United States were seeded by travelers from Europe. After consulting with our top government health professionals,
according to the data from the World Health Organization, over 4,600 people have died of coronavirus infection and more than 131,000 are infected.
The Polish Senate is in a state of uncertainty. Speaker of the Senate, Tomasz Grodzki, informed that an individual who spent some time in the higher chamber of the Polish parliament is currently being tested for coronavirus. Nonetheless, the Senate keeps operating. The Law and Justice senators appeal to shorten the sessions, as a positive result of this test may lead to a 2-week quarantine of Polish senators.
One of the people who often spend time in the building of the Senate informed me that they are being tested for the presence of coronavirus as they are feeling ill. Due to this, I have scheduled a special meeting of senior senators and representatives of Senate clubs. For now, the individual is feeling alright. However, we should all be aware that if the result is positive, then all of us will have to undertake epidemiologic and sanitary procedures, meaning a quarantine first, and then to test for the COVID-19 infection.
The Permanent Council of the Polish Bishops' Conference, referring to the Code of Canon Law, recommended to the diocesan bishops to grant a dispensation from participating in Sunday Mass to some of the faithful until March 29th.
In the view of the threat to health and life, according to Canon 87, paragraph 1, 1245 and Canon 1248, paragraph 2 of the Code of Canon Law, we recommend that diocesan bishops grant dispensation from the obligation to attend Sunday Mass until March 29th this year to the following faithful: the elderly, people with symptoms of infection, coughing, rhinitis, high temperature, children and school children and adults who take direct care of them, people who feel fear of being infected. The implementation of the dispensation means that absence from Sunday Mass at the indicated time is not a sin.
That's all for tonight. Now on to Poland Daily Business with Aleksander Wierzejski and his guest. Good night.